everybody to another episode of Talking Points, the show that puts the word party into partisan politics. Every week we're going to be talking about a different topic of national interest, and we have our panelists all ready to begin. To my extreme left, we have Mr. Lionel Ellis, spokesperson for the United Workers' Party. In the middle, we have Mr. Peter Alexander, chairperson of the Organization for National Empowerment. And we have Mr. Calix George Jr., spokesperson for the St Lucia Labour Party. Gentlemen, welcome. I, of course, am your moderator, Janika Simon. Let us begin. The topic that we have on the table for discussion today is one that I think is really important, especially now in St Lucia politics, the question of political ideology. Now, what does ideology mean? Your political ideology is the way that you see the world, correct? So how you interpret the facts on the ground and how you, and the solutions that you're going to put forward to deal with issues are all going to be determined by what your particular ideology is. So we know that there is, in the world today, a leftward, rightward split. So we have people who are more conservative, we have people who are liberal, and we also have on the far left people who are progressive. So let us begin. Do St. Lucian politicians display an adherence to a definite ideology, or is there a tendency towards, political opportunism, just going where the wind blows, finding your way into power? Who wants to begin?
This is a big one.
Let them begin this time. I would go let them begin this time.
I believe going back over the years when the party started to form after adult suffrage in 1951, I think the Labour Party was more looked at as the Workers' Party during that time, and it was more, if you want to call it, liberal, left-leaning party. And then you had the United Workers' Party, which came about by the merger of the PPP and the LMN in 1964, and they were considered the Conservative Party. So over the years, it has basically remained that way, although there is a school of thought that with the advent of Kenny Anthony, they moved more towards the right than they were left. And I think if the United Workers' Party saw that as an opportunity to jump further to the left, and in fact, during the 2006-11 period, they were saying that they were more worker-focused or worker-oriented than the Labour Party. All right, so we have had that movement. So a number of persons now feel that there's literally no ideological difference between the St Lucia Labour Party and the United Workers' Party. And a lot of the members, I'm not too sure, who join these parties, already have any ideology per se. I think a number of the politicians over the years have just moved in where they felt comfortable, or a lot of them too, where they felt that they could have probably won a seat. So if I don't like Kenny Anthony at this time, I would just join the United Workers' Party for whatever reason. Or if I was member of the United Workers' Party and I didn't like what happened to me, for example, you can take the case of, say, the Francis brothers. Look at what happened. And they felt that, they weren't happy. And they just jumped to the United Workers' Party. But traditionally, the family, the history of that family has always been Labour. And now you start to ask yourself questions. Do these persons really have any ideology per se? Anything that grounds them, as a person. And as they say, if you fall for nothing, if you don't believe in anything, nothing, you'll fall for anything. And it brings that clearly into focus. And as you said, if you look over the years, you have a Peter Josie who was started with Slam, then he moved in, there's a Forum, Slam, he moved to Labour. And then when he had his issues with Julian Hunt of the St Lucia Labour Party, he actually tore the T-shirt and walked away in disgust and everything. And today, he did join our party for a period of time, and then he moved full-fledged into the United Workers' Party. Now, Peter Josie, when I grew up as a boy, I always knew him to be this radical firebrand politician. I always viewed him as more left than even George Odlum himself, right? Who was more Oxford trained and you know, came from an era where, you know, he challenged the status quo. And I saw Josie as being the one who more or less instigated a lot of the things. And, you know, it is sad today for me, as somebody who followed these people from the 70s. I remember carrying my mother's bench, you know, to the meetings and what have you, because at that time I was too young to vote in the 70s. And I got my orientation, political orientation, a lot from them. And today it is sad to see what has happened to Peter Josie. You understand what has happened to him as an individual. So I am not too sure that, you know, there is that huge gulf in terms of ideology between you know, the two main political parties. For us, it is more democratic socialists. That is what we are more, you know, mainstream, in between kind of, you know, that sort of thing. But the emphasis always has to be on the poor, right? Because we believe that political power is supposed to be used judiciously to help the poor, because you always have the rich and they will continue to take advantage of the poor. So when you get political office, you always need to focus on the poor and see what you can do for them. Now, it must not be a situation where the poor believes that they always need to get a handout. It must not be that. But when you get into office, sometimes there are a number of persons who, for some reason or the other, they're indigent, they don't have a skill, and then you will find that you need to reach out to them. And
well, let me interrupt you a little bit, Mr. Alexander, because I think what you're discussing now is really interesting, but it kind of goes into what the ideologies are. But I wanted to get, before we take our first break, I wanted to get opportunity for Mr. Ellis and Mr. George to speak and tell us. Mr. Ellis, let me go to you now. Are you seeing a clear differentiation in ideology between your party and the major opposition party, the SLP? Can you tell us your thoughts on the matter?
Yes, certainly, Janika. I must refer to a comment that Mr. Alexander made there with regards to the fact that it is sad to see
very, very briefly.
Yes. He had all the time. But he said, and if I may quote him well, it's sad to see what Peter Josie is doing now to himself politically, right? Which means that he preferred the radicalism of Peter Josie that he used to be. Because if it's sad to see, right?
Yeah, I said I grew up. You're looking, yes.
And he's saying it's sad to see Peter Josie now. I have been around, I don't know, maybe a little longer, in the days of George Murray, George Charles, Julio Jabatis, and so on, as a little boy with my father. And I know that those men seem more honorable than some of the politicians that we've seen in recent times. And they were, and it is said that these fellas really weren't for themselves, they were really for the people. But over the time, we've seen St. Lucia hunting for the perfect politician. And there's no such thing as a perfect politician, right? But more recently, what we've seen, an alignment with Venezuela, Maduro. We've seen alignment with Cuba over the years. Sure, that's on the side of the Labour Party, right?
Yes.
And mind you, those countries do offer St. Lucia some benefits. I'm not saying that they're all bad, because everybody has a little good in them. But St. Lucians in general have become to fear the Labour Party. I'm making a broad statement. They seem to fear the Labour Party. They always seem to be regimental, on the attack. You know, it's almost a problem. I don't know if it's the red in the color that have people like a bull ready to attack a matador. It's always seemed to be a frightful side of the party. That's why we've feared, and as a little boy, I've feared George Odlum and Peter Josie. And I tell Peter Josie that all the time, because I remember going to the market steps and hearing the firebrand Peter Josie and George Odlum. But things change with time. St. Lucians now have a situation where there's more communications. What used to happen in Castries long ago, you never heard in Ancillary or Canaries or even Viewport. Now, as soon as it happens here, it's in New York, even sometime before it reaches down there, but everybody knows what's going on. So people have tempered themselves a little bit. What we have to look at the ideology is how we favor certain people in the world, because we have to look at the benefits for our people and not just get people something just as a short-term measurement. Look at a long-term relationship, and we're losing that. We're losing that with the Labour Party, where they're looking at quick fixes. And that's why, look at how sad it is with Venezuela. When you think of the situation in Venezuela where people cannot get toilet paper, and we're willing to accept, see, and we're proud to say that Venezuela gave us computers and Venezuela did bridges for us. And we have no mercy for the people in Venezuela that have to die under that kind of ideology.
But let me just
Yeah, but
stop
I thought
you.
you was talking
Hold
about
on.
his party's ideology.
I just want to get a sense from you, Mr. Ellis, of whether you think that, as Mr. Alexander said, the parties have somewhat come closer together in ideology, because Mr. Alexander started his comment by saying that we had the conservative United Workers' Party and we had the leftist St Lucia Labour Party. He then went on to say that at the advent of Dr. Anthony's term as the leader of the party in 1997, thereabouts, that we saw a move of the Labour Party to a more central position, a centrist position, and we also saw the United Workers' Party move to a centrist position. Do you agree with his assessment? Do you disagree? How do you see the two parties in terms of ideology today?
I see they're a lot closer than they were. A lot
So you
closer
do
than they
agree
were.
with his
I
assessment?
agree with him,
Yeah.
but but they're still not the same.
Okay.
They're still not the same.
So
they
you're
have moved
still
closer.
seeing an ideological
certainly
divide.
different.
And can you elaborate from your perspective, before I get Mr. George, what that is, what the difference is between the parties?
Well, I think that generally what I see is that they're trying to build self-image. It's about them. It's not really for the people. And the people themselves are being tapered to depend heavily on handouts, right? So that you always have to depend on a party to help you. You're not building that independence in the average solution. And that is the problem I see. I think that the United Workers' Party has always been the party to give people the benefits of the doubt, so that they not only get a fish, as the saying goes, they learn how to fish. And therefore the development process is more stable, more friendly. Whereas the Labour Party wants you to come and give them, beg them, support them blindly. And you heard it in the Calypsos. Support your party, man. Invader sang about it.
Okay.
Although you're catching your nenen, support your party. And that's not that has to be a fundamental difference. We want to help you, but we want to make sure that you can help yourself. That's the modus operandi of the United Workers' Party.
Understood. So we need to hear from Mr. Calix George Jr., but I think it is time for our first break, so don't go anywhere. As soon as we return, Mr. Calix is going to tell us about the ideology of the St. Lucia Labour Party. Patience, please, Calix. Stay with us. We'll be right back.